Hello, friends. Hello, everyone. Let's start with the prayer. Today, our topic is meditation on Master, on the Gurus. So let's begin with the prayer. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, great Masters, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashai, Swami Sri Yukteswarji, beloved Master Paramahansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, we bow at thy feet. O great ones, beloved Guru, help us to feel thy presence in meditation and in every aspect of our day. We are thine. Be present at our satsang now. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. We'll hear a chant now that Swami Kriyanandaji will sing, and then an excerpt from a talk by Swamiji on this topic. Welcome again.
যদি গোকুল চন্দ্র ব্রজে না এলো সখী গো গোকুল চন্দ্র আমার জীবন মরণ পরশরতন কাঁচেরি সমান বেলো গোকুল চন্দ্র জীবন আমার বিফলে গেল কোন কাজেই লাগলো না গো জীবন আমার বিফলে গেল গোকুল চন্দ্র আমি গেরুয়া বসন অঙ্গেতে ধরিব শঙ্কের কুণ্ডল পরি আমি যোগিনী হই যাব সেই দেশে যোগিনী হইয়ে যাব সেই দেশে যেথায় নিথুর হরি দে দে আমায় সাজায়ে দে গো আমার ভূষণ ভালো লাগলো না গো দে দে আমায় সাজায়ে দে গো গোকুল চন্দ্র আমি মথুর নগরে প্রতি ঘরে ঘরে যাইব যোগিনী হয়ে আমি মথুর নগরে প্রতি ঘরে ঘরে যাইব যোগিনী হয়ে আমি মথুর নগরে প্রতি ঘরে ঘরে যাইব যোগিনী হয়ে যদি মিলায়া বিধি মম গুণনিধি যদি মিলায়া বিধি মম গুণনিধি বান্ধিব অঞ্চলে করি আমি অঞ্চলেতে বেঁধে আনিব অঞ্চলেতে বেঁধে আনিব সেই চঞ্চল গোবিন্দে bente anivo Gokulo Chandra Haribol, 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 Haribol.
That kind of faith that I had in Master was based on the fact that I had seen Master with as clear a vision as I was capable of having, as being somebody who would never betray that kind of confidence, being somebody who would never ask something that didn't have a good divine reason for it. And that kind of faith, above all, because to ask a hypothetical question that will never come to pass doesn't really serve much purpose. Much more important is it when he asks you to give up your ego, when he asks you to give up your desires and to serve God and to live for the highest truth. This is hard to do. But when you have enough faith, then, okay, what happens? You go into meditation. I remember this story that I used to hear from Constant Desquier, who was the center leader in Paris of SRF. And I kept hearing about this terrible experience he'd had when he took Kriya. He'd gotten it from the lessons. And I thought, well, I'd never heard of anyone else with a terrible experience. I wonder what this is all about. So finally, as the head of the center department, I went to Paris in 1955, and Desquier asked for a private interview with me, and he started to tell me about this experience. And I thought, well, finally, now I'm going to hear it for myself. And he said, I practiced Kriya, and the first time I practiced Kriya, a great light appeared in my forehead, and I felt myself merging into this light and losing myself, and I became afraid, and I never do Kriya anymore. So this was the terrible experience. I thought, gads, more of us should have such terrible experiences. But it's true, though, isn't it, that you go into meditation and you get some experience, and the first thing the ego does is recoil. My God, what's happening to me? I'm losing my body, I'm losing my sense of self, and so on. Well, it takes a certain amount of faith, a lot of faith, let's face it, that's the cliff we're really talking about, to step off that cliff of ego, to drown yourself in the light, knowing that you won't die, knowing that you'll live. And it's more faith than the ego can come up with for a long time. I mean, you may say, oh, I'm sure that's not so. If somebody offered me samadhi, I'd jump at the chance. Well, you really wouldn't. There's that... Dr. Lewis, after 30 years on the path, backed Master into a corner and urged him to give him samadhi. And Master, seeing no other way out of it, looked at him like this and he said, if I gave it to you, could you take it? Dr. Lewis sort of thought and dropped his eyes and he said, no, sir. Faced with that thought of total self-dissolution when you know nothing but that self, who could handle it? It takes a lot of faith to be able to enter God. It takes a lot of faith to give up what you know for the unknown. And faith in the Guru and in one who's gone before, who's really done that. Faith in all those saints who have done it and not died, but found life. That he who would lose his life for my sake shall find it, it says in the Bible. When people come at it with that kind of faith, then and then only are they ready for samadhi. Then and then only are they ready for any really high experience. How many of us have that kind of faith? Very few, let's face it. But the way to get that kind of faith is partly by having that kind of faith in the Guru and saying that what you have, even though it isn't something I have, is something I want to be open to.
Welcome again, friends. This is such a beautiful and such an important topic on how to really allow Master to come in and take charge of our lives. We think that we are able to meditate on our own, that we're able to open up our spiritual eye or open the chakras or listen, bring the Om vibration into ourselves or lift up the Kundalini in the spine. And it really just isn't so. That what we do in meditation is turn our cup up to receive grace. We're cooperating with the grace of God and the gurus. And as we open ourselves and become more receptive, more soft, you could say, having more faith that the guru knows what he's doing and not demanding, I must have this experience, I must have that experience, but saying, Master, I know you know what's best for me, and that's why I'm here. And here at Ananda Village, as you know, I'm here, and there's so many beautiful temples all around the community, at least 10 major ones that you can go and sit in, the Moksha Shrine, the Hansa Mandir, the Temple of Light. There's a huge Murti of Master with his hands up blessing the whole community. There's a chapel, there's a Crystal Hermitage. There are many beautiful places to sit and meditate. But we have to remember that when we go there, we have to keep our minds on why we're there. We're there to draw the presence, the blessings, the grace of the Masters. And we might ask, are the Masters really there? I mean, are they... And Master said, to those who think me near, I am near. And Babaji, in the Autobiography of a Yogi, it says, anyone who calls with devotion to Babaji, to sincerity to Babaji, will attract an instantaneous blessing. And Lahiri Mahashaya said, I'm with all those who practice Kriya. In our purification ceremony, which is so beautiful, the words are, the Master says, open your heart to me, and I will enter and take charge of your life. And so we have to realize, yes, the Masters are there. They want to take charge of our lives. We have to open ourselves. And I remember Nayaswami Devi was telling this story a few months back, that she told Swami Kriyanandaji that she was trying everything, all the techniques, Om technique, Hong Sa. She was doing more Kriyas, she was affirming, doing yoga, energizing. And she said, I just don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. And I'm sure you've gone through that, and I certainly have gone through that. And what Swamiji said was something to remember. He said, well, these help to bring grace, but the grace is what makes the changes. And so as we do our practices, Master said 25% is our efforts, 25% of the path is the Guru's help. And Master said, I'll give you lots of my good karma so that you can get there. And 50% is grace. And so we can't will our way to open everything in our spine and our spiritual eye. I was remembering the beautiful story of Dr. Lewis, who came to Yoganandaji. He was his first student in America. And he said to Master, I have read in the Bible that it says, if thine eye be single, thy whole body will be filled with light. And he asked Master, he said, do you know what that means? And Yoganandaji said, I think so. And he said, have you seen that light? And Master said, I think so. And he said, can you show it to me? And Master replied, I think so. And Dr. Lewis said, I've asked many ministers at many churches, and I've never found the answer to this. So Master brought his forehead to Dr. Lewis's forehead and showed him the great light at the spiritual eye, and then the 1,000-petaled lotus, the light there. But he asked him a question before, which is good to remember. He asked him, he said, will you love me always as I will love you? Now this was their first meeting in this life, and you would think it seems odd or strange. But Dr. Lewis said, I said yes, because you see, I could feel the love. And then Master rubs his hands and he says, good. Now I can take charge of your life. And so then he was able to help Dr. Lewis to go deeper and deeper in meditation. Now, is this for everyone? Is the Master's help there? Yes, but some people don't. They're either not open, not interested, or the attitudes are wrong. There was that one man who meditated, I think it was 48 hours. He was one of the monks that Swamiji knew. And, after that, he said, this doesn't work. And he got up and he left. He left the ashram. And then there was the other man who was just so sweet, Horace. And he just did the best he could. He could barely walk. He could barely talk. But he did the seva as Master told him to do. And then Master said about this disciple that he's nearly fully liberated. And the others thought, him of all the people? And one man said, well, how is it so, Master? It doesn't seem so. And Master said, it's because of his love, his devotion. Divine Mother is pleased with his devotion. And the man said, well, it must be a very simple kind of a devotion. And Master said, oh, that's what God loves. And so as we offer ourselves, then the Guru can come in. Then one lady said, Master, a nun, I don't feel you as much as the others feel you. And Master said, if you shut the door, how can I come in? So how do we open the door so that we can meditate on the Guru and with the Guru? Well, Swami Kriyanandaji gave a beautiful example, and then I'll tell you some tips on what to do. But he said when he would sit with Master, Master would be talking about a variety of things that had nothing to do with meditation. But Swamiji said he would sit in the back of the room, and suddenly he just would feel Master's vibrations. He said one time he could feel his energy just rising, and it's as if energy was just pouring out through his spiritual eye from just sitting in the presence of Master. And also he said that his problems would disappear as he would sit with Master. And so these are things to keep in mind, that he opens the door. He can help you with your difficulties and in your life. And so Swamiji used to guide us. I wanted to talk about this because it's not something that we made up, that Swamiji used to guide us in meditating on Master. Those were very, very, very deep meditations. And he would say several things, some of these, to call to the Guru in your heart, first of all, through the spiritual eye, to see his face, to see his eyes, to open your eyes and look at the altar, Master's eyes, and can make that connection with him. These are things you can do in your meditation. And as you make that connection, to say, introduce me to God. Introduce me to God. And then to feel in the heart Master's blessings, his presence with you in your meditation. He said also feel Master's sitting next to you, guiding your practice, or sitting in diminutive form on top of your head, or sitting inside of your body and meditating through you and burning up your karma. And you can feel that his spine is your spine. His chakras are your chakras. His spiritual eye is your spiritual eye. The Om sound is coming from him. The light is coming from him. Master would sometimes put his ear next to Dr. Lewis's ear and have him hear the Om in his body. And Dr. Lewis, of course, was delighted with that. But you can feel Master's got his forehead next to your forehead as you're meditating. Master has his ear next to your ear, and you're hearing the Om sound. And also you can feel that his blessings are there flowing into you in every part of your meditation, that in your spine and the chakras and the spiritual eye, that it's Master who's blessing you and who's sitting with you and allowing you to have deep experiences. I want to read something that, a couple of things. One that Swamiji wrote. The secret of meditation is receptivity to God's grace and full awareness that God's power alone can liberate the soul. And then this part, throughout his life, Swami Kriyananda taught that yoga is cooperation with grace. This inner cooperation is actually the very essence of all yoga techniques, and indeed of the entire yogic science. He wrote an extensive series of lessons in realization, at the end of which, as a conclusion, Swamiji stated, "Everything I have written about the spinal channels, the inner light, watching the breath to achieve concentration, gazing at the point between the eyebrows, raising the energy in the spine, well, everything in these lessons is only a means of cooperating with grace." And then, finally, let's do this meditation on Master. Let's sit up and inhale and tense the body, the double breath, exhale, and relax. And twice more. Close your eyes, gaze up at the spiritual eye. And you can use this visualization in your meditations. Swamiji says, visualize the Guru sitting beside you, inside you, or in diminutive form on your head. Mentally, ask him to guide you. You can think that your body is the Guru's body, and that you are doing your Kriya meditation through his spine, as if he were merged in you. This is what happens when the Guru enters you and fills you with divine blessings. He actually merges his astral body with yours and fills you with his magnetism. This entering of the Guru's astral body, merging it with yours, is a way of magnetizing your body, increasing your spiritual magnetism to the point where you have the same magnetism. Only it's yours, not his. Feel Master's blessings in your heart now. Mentally say, introduce me to God through the spiritual eye, and then feel his blessings in your heart. I am thine, be thou mine. Bless me now. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. This is something you can practice on your own in your meditations. Now I'll ask if there are any questions. I'll ask Nitendra to join on the screen.
Thank you, Dhyanaji. I'll just share my screen. The first question, Dhyanaji, is I don't really know if Master is with me or not in meditation. So how can I find that out?
Well, there's a feeling that comes of upliftment, of peace, of joy, of blessing, of a tingling vibration all through your spine, an opening of the spiritual eye. You feel an uplifted feeling. And a lot of things happen. I'm sure this has happened to you, where I just know that wasn't from what I did. You could come home from a day where you're exhausted and you start to meditate, where you've been doing seva all day, and you start to meditate and suddenly everything's open. That means that the Master's blessing you. Anytime you feel, I would say any deep experience, not restlessness, that's from you, but anytime you feel any deep experience, that's the Guru's blessing. How are you going to do that by yourself? You haven't done that on your own. I think a lot of people feel, now I finally have achieved this, but all we did was turn our cup up and allow the grace to be poured in. And so I'd rather say everything that happens in my meditation, besides the restlessness, the worries, the doubts of falling asleep, and all that is Master's grace. That's probably the best way to look at it.
Thank you, Dhanaji. The next question is, I can't seem to reach deeper states in meditation. So how can I go deeper, adding my blessings to the Master's blessings?
I would say one thing is talk less. Now, I know that's hard for people, but talking less, you conserve the energy, and you have more power. You need to have the inner strength, you need to be spiritually magnetic to draw Master's blessings and grace, and have a seclusion day, have a silence day, have a day where you're not around people, where you're not on social media, you're not watching videos, what Swamiji said is, these things are their inner experiences, but our energy is so outward that we don't experience them. So learn to cut the sense telephone wires by doing Kriya deeply. One day a week, go do more. Chant Om at the chakras with the harmonium, or just do it without the harmonium. Navi Kriya, most of you know that technique. Chant. All of these things, do some reading, yoga postures, energization, all of these help, and I just think all of them help to open me up to the inner realities. And you can't struggle to make that happen. There has to be just a natural openness. And that happens after time. I think some people are just so impatient that, I remember Swamiji said there was one woman who said, I've been on this path for 6 months and I haven't had samadhi yet. Well, these things take time, and you get your own karma and your own attachments and desires. And Master asked Divine Mother, when he found God, he said, why did it take so long? And he said that Divine Mother said, there were a few desires still left. And so he had a few, we have a lot. So this, you have to clear the way. But the practices do clear the way. I was talking to a group yesterday online, and I had this wonderful thought that Kriya gets rid of karma and problems and desires before you even know you have them. We see one thing and we say, oh, I have to deal with this attitude, I have to deal with that. But Kriya is working on this mountain of karma and desires and attachments from who knows how many lives. And you don't even know you have those problems. You don't even know you have that desire or attachment. But the Master said, I'll give you lots of my good karma. Now let's remember, he also said it takes very, very, very good karma. We have to be grateful that we have places like this we can come to, centers, we have all the books of Swamiji Master's writings, we have all the music, we have the chants, we have our Guru Bhais, all the techniques, my God, there's so many. So I would say, just make haste slowly. That's what Master said to Swamiji. Don't rush. And then I see people rush, and then they rush off the path. So, a Master said everybody's on the path. Some are walking, some are jogging, some are running fast, and some are running backwards. So you want to just keep moving, but don't get impatient. I can say in all the years that I've been on this path, what's been my deepest experience? I would say joy. And where's that joy coming from? It's coming from inside myself. So there hasn't been one big thunder from above and a vision and something happened. It was just like an eternal joy that's always there. So aim for some things that are obvious. You might be feeling peace or calmness or detachment or fulfillment. don't look for things that it's going to take a long time to have. There was one woman, Swamiji said, she came to Dr. Lewis's meditation group and she saw the spiritual eye right away. She saw through the wall and, it was going on outside. And the thing is, she never came back. So you could have those experiences, but are you going to come back? Are you going to go to the end? So best to leave it in Master's hands. He's the guru, not you. Say, Master, whatever's right. I would often pray this prayer, if this situation or if this going into this state will get me more into ego, I don't want it. I don't want to get into ego, more ego. So just that, Master, you're the guru, whatever you want me to have in this life. And if it's nothing, it's about Master told Swamiji that at the end of your life that you would find God. And you see how much Seva Swamiji did all his life. The Master told him when he was 22 years old, I believe it was, Swamiji asked him, will I find God in this life? And Master said, yes, but don't think about it. So I would say probably that's the answer. Yes, these things will come, but don't think about it. Just keep serving, keep humble, keep meditating. Are there other questions?
There are, Dhanaji, but we are slightly out of time. So maybe I can take one last question.
Okay.
So is it okay to offer my problems up to Master when I meditate? And does that really help?
Aren't you thinking about them anyway? I mean, really. You're already thinking about them, so why not think about them in a positive way and give them to the guru and just say, I can't meditate deeply because I've got these things on my mind. Please take them away. And Swamiji said also with Kriya, I know everybody's not a Kriya Bond, but you can offer through Kriya problems up to the spiritual eye, up to Master and Divine Mother, to the spiritual eye, and then you bring their grace and blessings down as you do Kriya. So you can work out problems in Kriya specific, because that means that karma has surfaced and you can work it out. But I think the last thing I'll say is don't get so much into problem consciousness. It's like karma and problems and attachments and desires. You can see them like a nail in a board. It's in there, and you just keep pulling, and you don't know when it's going to come out, but just keep pulling. At a certain point, boom, it's out. And I can look at my life, and there's so many things that just don't bother me anymore. And I'm sure you can look at your life. So be positive, be affirmative, and put your hand in Master's, and have the faith that he knows what he's doing with your life. God bless you all. And thank you, Natendra, for your help.